The Cost of Freedom. Now, Neil Cavuto.
Well, after every calamity, every tragedy, every terror attack, every threatened terror attack, every warning, it's the same thing. People start cocooning. Some of them stay behind closed doors, whether they're ordered to or not, where they certainly hold back on going to public places, whether they have to or not. Hillary Goldsher is a psychologist. She knows this phenomena very well. Take it to extremes, doctor. What it could mean is a big economic hit if everyone did that at the same time. How do you help people go through and deal with something like this?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me, Neil, by the way. It's good to be here. And it's a very natural reaction to want to cocoon, to want to stay inside both literally and emotionally. It's sort of scary to be out there when there's the threat of something like this happening and to deal with these kind of feelings. My recommendation, and it might seem paradoxical, is to talk about these feelings, to share them, to not sort of stuff them down, to make sure that they're discussed amongst friends, amongst families, with professionals if necessary, so these feelings can be processed and integrated and soothing can be sought and healing can begin.
You know, I think after the Colorado theater shootings, doctor, I thought about even going to the movies with my kids, and I thought, what would I do if a maniac came into the theater and started shooting the place up? Now, that's just me as a dad worried when I'm at a movie with my kids. I'm sure people played that out by the millions across the country. But in an incident like this, where you're just out in the open watching a marathon, I'm thinking of parades, I'm thinking of malls, I'm thinking of train stations, I'm thinking way beyond what were the conventional worries we as Americans had, namely airports, on planes, that sort of thing, that I think we've widened our fear sphere, if you will. What do you make of that, and help us off the ledge here?
Well, here's the thing. What you're talking about is real. I mean, the scary thing here is that you and I both know, in light of what's happened over the last weeks and days and months and years, that bad things can happen. And it's scary. And as a society, we have an increased anxiety and fear. So on one hand, the feeling is realistic. So we need to talk about it. We need to process it. And there's an element of not having control over this. Bad things can happen. But statistically speaking, the possibility of you or I being a victim of something like this happening is small. But nonetheless, it is scary. And it's something we need to continue to talk about kind of as individuals and across the country.
What if it's proven eventually, doctor, that this goes beyond these two brothers, where they were part of a cell? There are a series of so-called sleeper cells, easy for me to say, in this country wishing us ill. That changes this fear factor a lot, doesn't it?
It sure does. I mean, there's a comfort in imagining this is an isolated incident, right? That this is just something between these sort of band of two brothers. But there are information coming in that it does extend beyond to other radical groups outside of this country. I mean, the thing we have to think about is that folks like this, from a psychological perspective, there's this sense of disenfranchisement that occurs, this sense of not belonging, of not feeling a part of. Yeah. And this turns into resentment and angering and a sense of disempowerment. And there's this horrible, horrific, violent acting out. So whether it's between just these two individuals, which we prefer, or it's affiliated with a larger group, it's sort of how do we manage this type of emotional backdrop and fallout.
Hillary Goldsher, wise words all. Thank you very, very much.
I really appreciate you having me. Thank you.